Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Down to Mars. It's your girl Loladay.
I'm Ness.
I'm Bex.
I'm Abs.
We're so excited to get back into this topic. We briefly spoke about it on our last episode in regards to paces in relationships and how, relationships evolve and sometimes how they also go wrong. But again, this will be the episode when we'll really get stuck into it. So
definitely
Stuck in.
yeah. This is a juicy one. I definitely think.
I like this one because I feel like we all have such individual but like really important experiences around this topic.
Definitely.
how's everyone doing?
Everyone's
Everyone's good. Everyone's fine.
I'm good.
I'm getting fine.
I'm excited to be back.
yeah?
I am. I feel like the first episode, even though I didn't come across like it, it's daunting when you're like starting back in a like it's been 3 years, 3 or 4, three, like just over 3 years since we last recorded. Ooh. And yeah, you just get back into the swing of things. I've opened up my Instagram again. A little bit nervous.
I feel like that's important, not to go into that topic, but I think people don't really, I think unless you're doing something like this or you're putting yourself in a space where you're open to judgment, then you don't really understand what comes with it, because for some people it's just normal to like post their everyday life, but we're doing that and then also we're sitting down and like we're letting people, I guess, into our brains, and seeing how our brains work. And obviously not everyone's going to agree with some of our opinions. We don't always agree with each other. So you kind of are making yourself vulnerable in a way. So
Definitely,
we're back in that vulnerable space. True. So
cheers to vulnerability.
Happy Sunday. But yeah, I do think that takes us smoothly into the topic of evolution of relationships and how they change over time, especially like when you go through different stages. And
what do you mean by evolution of relationships?
Like no relationship stays the same permanently, especially if you're in a relationship for a long time. Like personally, I can only speak on my situation, but obviously at the start of your my relationship, it's obviously like you two are together. I don't know if I'm speaking in the third person, but like me and my boyfriend, we're together. Yeah, we're living life. It's just us, carefree, kind of almost like you're in your honeymoon phase. Yeah, and then you move in together. And reality sets in.
reality sets. Like, changes.
You see the real people. No, I'm joking. Fortunately, it worked. But sometimes even moving in together, that can cause, because then there could be like habits with that person that you don't.
But I think even then we're jumping the gun, because I think even if you're not living together, we're, as individuals, you're constantly growing. Yeah. And I think when you meet someone, you meet them obviously as they are, and when you're not always, not to generalize, but I think you're not always thinking far ahead in the sense like of you're going to be completely different people in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. You know what I mean? Some things are consistent, but your mindset changes, your attitude changes, things that you might have been accepting of in the beginning, you might grow to be like, hold on, like I'm not cool with, you know what I mean? And I think it's about how do we navigate that? And also, is that a thing where you think, nah, you have to work through that? Or do you think, you know what, we've grown to be different people now?
Let's call it quits.
You know what? It's mad. I do have a bit of a... maybe this is wild. I don't know. So don't shoot me, guys.
This is a safe space.
I've always said, and to be fair, I do have like my sister and her husband have been together from the age of 18. And that is... And obviously like there's relationships around me that have been together for a substantial amount of time. However, maybe I just feel like being in relationships from a very young age, personally, obviously they work, but I do think the success rate is very low. And I do think getting into a serious relationship young, I don't know how successful those relationships will be.
But can I add to that? I think it depends.
That's wild. Because you just change so much.
But what are we classing as young?
Like 16, 17. Obviously, don't get me wrong. Like, it is amazing to be in a relationship and to serve that length of time. But you come
free me. I do that free me. Sorry.
But do you think how different you are? Like, look how
That's crazy.
To be in a relationship for that long.
Yeah.
Look how much you probably will change.
You're not even an adult. Like, it's like, how do you even, you haven't even had your own experiences as a person.
So do you know what? That's fair. And I'll give you that because I feel like when you're younger, there's a lot more that you're meant to experience before you get into a relationship. There's a lot of developing that needs to happen before you should get into a relationship.
Individual growth.
Exactly. And you kind of, hopefully, I hope it doesn't happen, but you kind of tend to probably miss what you didn't get to experience in your early youth. So that is a fair point. But I think it also depends on how you're steward. So you're saying that your sister, you've seen her, the relationship blossom and stuff, but do you feel like maybe her religion or even having your parents together, that kind of stewarded how the relationship also kind of was able to blossom?
I think they both grew at the same pace, which is obviously what the topic is. Like, and I think that's rare.
That's interesting.
That's why I think it's worked.
But did they grow at the same pace or did they adopt to
I
one
don't
another?
know. That could, when you want to make something work and you love somebody.
Sorry.
What did you say?
Guys?
Adapt. What did you say?
No, she said adopt to one another.
Oh dear, guys.
I got what you meant.
I'm the English African.
I got what you mean.
You're good.
But I do think that's the key point. Like if you're growing at the same pace or you want to grow at the same pace, but that's rare. I think that is rare. Like,
And I think you actually downplay a successful relationship is actually a lot of hard work and also luck.
Yeah.
I actually believe that finding your person, being with somebody long term forever, or having, for example, what your sister and her husband have, or just anybody in that scenario where they have a long term relationship that is successful, fruitful, and they are still happy, it does sometimes come down to luck, which I know it sounds mad and, it's not just that, but sometimes people don't find their person. And when you have a good thing sometimes, even though it doesn't work out for the long term, I think you have to be grateful that you got to share that time with that person, because what you may have shared with someone for a period of time, though it may not last forever, might be more than somebody's ever experienced in their lifetime.
That's a good
think it's
point.
grace, but-
I would say it's more, to me, I think it's a lot more. Okay, saying this convenience is mad, but I think a lot of people that are, not everyone, again, this is a generalization, don't come for me, but I think a lot of people that are together for a long time, because obviously in your relationship, you're gonna, as you was talking about, you have like that honeymoon period.
Yeah.
You have that period where everything's good, where everything's great. You don't really know that person. You haven't really seen their flaws.
Yeah.
You guys haven't really had to go through adversity and come through the other side. Once you start going through shit, that's when it's like, oh shit, okay, do we really want to be together?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes you either make the decision, okay, cool, this works, it's convenient, we've kind of set up home together, we've made each other such a big part of each other's life that it would be so mad for us to break up now, so let's just ride it out. Do you know what I mean? And then you'll have another period where, okay, you're happy, and then it kind of, the cycle repeats. Obviously, then there's the flip side where it's like, okay, you fall in love with someone and it's just that kind of consistent
Monkey love.
Not necessarily always good though. Like, so you might, well, who's calling me? Sorry. Not necessarily.
She's a businesswoman.
Very busy.
Business is calling, baby. But it's not necessarily always good. It's not always necessarily a smooth ride, but that love. So it's either the kind of the love or the convenience that keeps you together. I feel like it's one of the two.
But then I think that is different for the type of person that you are.
That's
okay.
Because if you are somebody who strives to have a relationship for the long term and like have that sort of unit, then you know that it's never going to be smooth sailing. And I don't think.
But isn't that then just the love? Isn't that the
convenience?
The love side?
No, I would say like it's the convenience sometimes, in that it's like you choose
regardless
to stick
of how
with this
things are.
person. Yeah, of course. And even as like for example, I've been in a relationship for a long time and realistically we've always lived together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But actually it would be more convenient sometimes to not be in this situation, in terms of like when you're a single person you have way more freedom.
Yeah.
And I'm not hard up, like I can help myself in life, like financially, like whatever. So I don't have a fear of being alone. So choosing that person every single day is not necessarily like just convenience. It's actually a choice. And like, because I want to have a unit, sometimes there are situations where it's like, this is going to be something we work through. And we've actually been through a lot together. Me and my fiance, like, not just like, not trivial things, but like death, like grief,
real things,
like real, like losing parents and stuff like that's probably like one of the hardest things. And I think in those moments, it would be so easy to just say, I'm going through this big thing.
Yeah.
I want to be alone. I can be alone and it will be okay to be alone. But when you actively decide like, this is a unit that I'm working on, I choose, this is my choice.
Yeah.
It kind of becomes more of a want than like a need of convenience. I don't know about like convenience sometimes, because wouldn't it be more convenient for us all to be alone?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know, you know.
I think it depends on your character.
Yeah,
Some people,
if you need someone,
some people are very needy and they need that they get security from. And I think it's comfortability. Like, you know, when some people have been in a relationship for so long, being single is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they choose
And
to
lonely.
accept things.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
Whereas if you're quite, I don't know, like a confident, I don't know, like secure person. Self-assured. Thank you, Grandma.
We need to give her an award today, seriously.
Self-assured. But yeah, if you're that kind of way inclined, then I feel like you wouldn't be afraid to like leave something that doesn't serve you anymore.
It's easier to build with someone as well.
Do you know what I
Like
mean?
in this day and age, think about the current world that we live in. It's actually easier to build with someone. So I
100%.
that's
what I'm saying. It's like you can. So there's a love side of things where it's like you meet someone, you love them. That's my person. I'm staying with them. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever we go through, we're gonna work through it.
Yeah.
But then there's also the side where there are a lot of couples that are unhappy in their relationship, but because
it's easier.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. We've now taken the step to, even it's a cost of living crisis. Yeah. To go and rent by yourself, or live by yourself, or get a mortgage by yourself is not attainable for a lot of people. Like to do it as a single person, do you know, even trying to go and present yourself as a single person, it's like, okay, but you fare better with somebody. Yeah, literally. So I think in things like that, a lot of people for that reason will be like, okay, cool. It makes life a little bit easier. Even when you guys have started to like break down and like, okay, cool, I'm gonna handle this, you're gonna handle that. And then if something goes left in your relationship, it's kind of like, okay, if I now decide to step away from this relationship, there are so many things that I have wrapped up with this person that
I have to unwrap now.
And it's like it might just be easier to say 100%. And a child is definitely a factor. A lot of people are just staying in relationships because
of children
and religion.
But then
religion
do you guys
and
think
culture.
there's like, because I do think sometimes there are levels to situations that you can kind of like come back from.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you can work through a lot of things, but there's
I think you can work through anything you want to work through. Is your intention behind
I
it?
can't work through certain things.
No. I think it's your intention behind it. Like you said, Rebecca, it's a choice to wake up every single day and say, you know what, I'm going to love on this person. I want to be this person. I choose to forgive
as long
them
as there's
flaws and alls
respect
and move
I'm
forward.
gonna keep it a buck with you. How easy would it be to be single and just like do what I want?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
It's very easy. I tell you that
so
much.
easy. Like,
is it easy though?
I think so. Yeah.
To wake up and
depends on
of course
what-
you don't have to tell no one about nothing. You don't have to discuss
Yeah,
nothing. You're just doing it in the
the
merry
freedom
way.
that you have is different.
in any decision, like if I wanted to pick up and go and move to wherever I want to move
Easy.
to, I could go.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And that would serve me. That would be great. But I think when you are in a relationship, that choice,
give and take, isn't it?
You have to make that choice every day. You have to wake up
to.
every day and say, okay, cool, I'm
You do.
choosing to be in this.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to.
there's a level of there's a level of sacrifice involved in like serious long-term relationships that I think doesn't suit everybody. It's not comfortable for if you're not somebody who's able to sacrifice and say, because in a relationship, bruv, there's been so many times, oh my God, why did I say bruv? It's so annoying. There's been so many times where it's like, you know, I actually have to not just think about my own needs.
Yeah.
I have to put this person before me. Do you know what I mean? Or not even before
Or
me,
on
but
the same
on
level.
the same level. I
Yeah.
have to consider them. I have to consider their feelings. I have to consider, okay, cool, how can I serve this person in a way and they serve me as well?
Yeah.
So
But
I
you know
think,
what? I don't think everyone. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I don't
no,
think
no.
everyone has that mindset. This is
Yeah.
why relationships
Yeah.
break down.
Yeah.
Because so many people like they are selfish in relationships and they don't regard their person.
Significant other, yeah.
and then that's where like communication and things can break down, and that is key to keeping relationships thriving.
do you think you can ever, in the early stages of a relationship, suss that that person is like that? Do you think that's something that comes with
I think
time?
you can see red flags.
I don't think
I think it depends on what you're discussing.
What
Really?
do you
Like
mean?
in terms of what?
I think like there's certain conversations that you will have with the person you're seeing that will kind of help you start to kind of think, you know, pit them out that, okay, this could possibly be someone who is, and then you got the question marks. It's like, this is kind of like a deal breaker for me, but can I kind of adjust myself and be okay and adapt to that person's, need, like you said, sacrifice. And I think it's understanding what your person or the person you're speaking to, what they kind of require as well. And just get into a place, like you said, where you can communicate that this is how I kind of seen things, how I kind of steady go on, but
I agree with that to an extent, but I think also when you're meeting someone, you are putting your best foot forward.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to be vulnerable.
It might not even be deliberately, but we
portray
you're
ourselves.
going to conceal those red flags. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to choose to kind of ignore certain things, and then you're also going to like things that you know that that person wouldn't necessarily appreciate about you or like about you if you you were forthcoming with that information. You're not going to come and say, oh yeah, you know what, in my last relationship I spazzed out, you know, or I was very insecure. Like you're going to be trying to portray yourself as
your best version.
And I think that's what as you were saying, it's those early conversations that are important, but naturally especially when you realize, you know what, I like this person, you know, I can see this going somewhere. You are going to try to almost fit into the mold that you think they want to see.
Yeah.
But then do you think people have those conversations though? Like literally have kind of, do you know what I mean? Because I feel like if I wasn't in a relationship and I was at this stage of my life and I was like, say, dating somebody, I would be laying out on the table, this is what I want. And if you can't, obviously not straight away, but there would be certain conversations.
But then it's like, at what point though? Because you might start talking to somebody and you're not necessarily, do you know what I mean? You don't necessarily know that the intention is, okay, I want to marry you. Do you know what I mean? It might just be, okay,
but
right
marriage
now,
would be something that
I want to get to know you as a person, and then you decide.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I can't lie, you feel someone's energy straight away, man. I think you can kind of, I feel like you kind of pick it, I feel like you kind of pick it up.
Like what their intentions are.
Not even their intentions, but you can kind of gauge and start identifying that this person's a kind of a serious person, or this person's like
how they treat you.
I think so though, because then otherwise you wouldn't have situations where you're getting to know someone for a time and then it's like, you know what, okay, let's got cut off. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would just be clear cut. You could point them out and say, yep, that's my guy.
Yeah, but I feel like you can see it from the jump sometimes.
I think I kind of agree with you, but then I also agree with Narissa in a way, because I think certain situations reveal somebody's true character. Like, for example, in my own situation, the fact that I can still stay in the scenario is that I've seen how my fiance reacts in certain scenarios, like certain life situations, life circumstances. It makes me know, okay, cool, this is the kind of person you are. And we're talking about evolving and growing in relationships, and seeing that happen over the years has definitely been a propellant in us staying together, because I think had he acted a certain way in certain scenarios, or, you know what I mean, not acted a certain way in certain scenarios, I might have said, oh, do you know what I mean? Because
but sometimes you'll gauge it from their personality traits as you kind of
move along, but it's not an early conversation.
It's not an early conversation. I don't think it's an early conversation, but you'll see the representation as you're engaging in that conversation. I think
what is key though, when you in those early stages is seeing how do they speak about their past relationships and their past situations. So you know, like okay, so you and your ex were together how long? What was the, like, why did that end? Do you know what I mean? And then seeing, because if a guy then starts talking, oh yeah, you know, my ex was this, or she did this and that, it's like, okay, but what did you do wrong?
Yeah.
Do you know, that's what I'm going to be thinking about, because if it's so easy for you to talk
ill of that person, that's fair, because, you know, sometimes things do, it's viable, but also you must have played a part in the breakdown in that relationship as well. So I'm also intrigued to know, but where did you stand? But even that is so easy to sugarcoat. Like you said, you can meet someone and easy to make it pretty.
So I think that's almost a little unfair, because I think sometimes the way you acted before, that's not who you are now.
Yeah, and that's true.
Would you think about our own personal experience? Would you want to be judged off of something you had done previously? Like, and you're not that person anymore.
But then, to an extent, I also have to know that, like, my past behavior is gonna follow me, because. Do you know what I mean? You can't just say, oh, that was then and I'm different now. Like, okay, who says you're different though? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I would have to, if it's a thing where, okay, have you been disloyal in a relationship? Have you acted, I don't know, irrational in a relationship? Yeah. Have you have you not been trusting for no, like things like that, where it's like, okay, if you've done that, it might be easy for you to then go into a relationship and repeat those behaviors, unless you've really done the work to say, do you know what, I don't want to be that person again.
How can you change?
How can you change?
But then it goes back to that whole conversation in regards to how developed you are as a person, because I feel like once, as women, like I think we're constantly evolving, we're constantly changing, and if you're somebody who can be raw and authentic with yourself, then you can take accountability to say that, you know what, I have these certain tendencies, I have these certain traits, but I can identify that in someone because I've gone through it and I've been able to overcome it. And I think when you now go into a relationship, that maturity is so important, that development, like you said, when you're younger, I do feel that that's a time when you should kind of be concentrated, you should be by yourself, you should enjoy, like go partying, go club, whatever you want to do, but just enjoy your youth, because it kind of helps you to mold what you then need. Because I feel like when I went into my own relationship, I think I went in, my previous relationship, I went in there and I was a new person, you know, and it was lovely, and it still is lovely.
What do you mean? You was a new person
in terms of like you said, my character had been refined. My character had been refined. Like I found myself seeking out God a lot more, so it really dealt with me from the inside outward. So when I was looking, not I wasn't looking, but when I was identifying, or when, you know, candidates were coming or whatever it was, I was able to say, not I haven't got a roster. Oh my gosh, no. When I was, you know, charge it, I swear. No, but when I was obviously, you know, going through my dating phase, I was able to see that, you know what, this is a good brother, or this is somebody who I can say that, you know, I can give him more of my time, because I can identify that, you know, he's got that servanthood mentality, or he's a loyal person. But I think it came down to me understanding who I was first, to be able to see that that's someone who's a good person. He's got that trait. But again, that development is so important. And even still to this day, to be able to look at yourself and say, you know what, that was actually my bad, or I did that in the past, but in this relationship, that can't be how I move. And it's just
even you saying that, I think sometimes, like, even at different stages, like for example, like having children and stuff, like you find like a lot of people have children before like finding out people's, like their significant others, like parenting styles, or like just how they're gonna be as like even in terms of being reliable and whatever, like, and you deal with that at the other side,
in the middle of it.
Even for example, like, to be fair, I'd say me and my partner, we parent quite similarly, but if he was to be different, that could cause an issue, because as a mother...
But don't you think that similarity is almost just like a stroke of luck? Isn't it just like...
But then I think sometimes even this
grace.
though, I think it also comes to like... And I say this, but I do think when you have like similar like things in common, like maybe even upbringings, you could say, that reflects in your parenting styles, because that's what you both know. And I think that's something that we do kind of have. So then it kind of makes it work. But then if you don't have that, then certain things that you might want in terms of like, I don't know, but like it can get technical.
It's actually so interesting, because family dynamic is so important.
It's key.
Very important.
If I was ever in my previously dating, when I'm looking and speaking to a guy, that's one of the first things that I need to know, like, what's your situation at home like?
Really?
Do you know what? Because
100%.
I've seen it through and through over and over again. Okay, you haven't got parents around, that's fine. But how do you deal with me? If there's a situation that arises, how are you dealing with me? Because when I've been in a situation where they've had both parents, and they're happily, and they're all right, everyone's just getting, everyone knows their role in their family. You know how to treat me, you know how to talk to me, you know how to, we have an argument, you come back, you say sorry, or we talk about it. And I've seen the other extreme where you don't have parents around, or you don't have both parents around, and you can just easily just cut me off,
disposable, like quick,
like
that's
this,
and
it's
really
not
good,
and it's not intentional, but because it's how you know how to even gauge it. So
I think the two parents at home thing sometimes is good, but I've seen situations where there's two parents at home, and the dynamics between those two parents is something that makes me not. I would rather be alone. Don't be with me. If you've got two parents at home and their dynamic is insane, I would rather be with somebody who has one parent who knows how to...
Who's grounded.
who shows you. You would rather have two parents.
No. I think, because from my experience, I think, especially for males that don't have a father figure, because obviously your parents might not be together, but your father can still play a very vital role in your life. So I think from like having relationships and experiencing men that didn't necessarily have a father figure, I really think that plays a huge part in how they not only navigate relationships, but just like their hopes for themselves, how they think they can like deal. They don't necessarily have like something to go off. And although they might have seen two parents that weren't necessarily, you know, healthy for each other or like in love, you know, showing love, I think there's a different respect maybe that they put on women. Yeah, and I think it's really key as a male, especially, to have a male figure in your life.
Do you think?
100%.
Do you know what? I agree, but I also think it's the mum plays such a imagine like I think what a mother puts into their son determines how they will treat other women. Because I know, for example, say if I was a boy, but I mean like the kind of mum that my mum is, there's no way I could bring someone in the house and disrespect them in front of my mum. No, she will out me, she'll air it out like, and I think that's, if you can tell from a guy, like I personally think if their mum has if they have a good relationship with their mum and they have and they value what their mum's,
that's what I think as well.
Yeah, like opinions and stuff. They respect women differently, like regardless of what their dads are like. I think because realistically, I just think it's I don't know, maybe it's just... I
agree with you, but I think sometimes what you're missing can also be... That void sometimes can also be a detriment because you get mummy's boys. I think maybe it's like a combination. How did you get so sweet? How do you feel like you can just run back home and be mum? You can be rude to me and just go back onto mum.
Because I feel like a lot of mothers allow certain behaviour. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And imagine like the relationship you're going to have with your partner's mum also like determines... Sorry. I thought he was going to be vomiting. I was like, wow. Wow. Sorry, I don't air bubble. The relationship that you have with your partner's mum. Like, I know I can go to my partner's mum and we can talk. And I don't think she will take sides. I think she'll just kind of tell me the real. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Whereas there's a lot of mums that will not do that and they will take sides. Do you get what I mean? So that's why I think having that mum, I think more than the dad. But then I don't think
that's just only for males as well. There are females as well. The mum will take this. My mum is not somebody who takes sides. And also my fiance's mum, rest in peace, she was not somebody who took sides. I felt like she was always very like impartial, and if she was going to take anyone's side, it was more my side, just in like the support. Do you know what I mean? I always felt like she was very supportive, encouraging, and didn't focus so much on the issue, but more like my individual progression. Even just the way that she spoke about,
which is important.
And that for me I think is a huge thing, because it will be easy because I have a son and I can imagine him coming home and saying whatever, and like his girl or whatever coming and saying, but I think as a parent you have to just try and encourage that person to be a better person. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not much you can kind of say on a dynamic that you are not a part of and that you don't see. You know?
I'll be honest, I think a lot of it comes down to what you've seen. So what you've seen growing up. And I think if you haven't seen something, how are you to know how to execute something? Do you know what I mean? If you haven't seen a healthy relationship, how do you know what a healthy relationship looks like?
Of course.
And if you haven't seen a partnership where that works well, and you know the woman plays her role, the male plays, how do you know how to model that? Do you know what I mean? I think that's my fear when I meet somebody, and because obviously I've grown up, I saw the relationship between my mother and my father. That obviously ended prematurely because my dad passed away, but I have those memories of a relationship that I wouldn't necessarily want to model after. Do you get what I'm saying? And then when I meet somebody and they might have grown up with a single parent family, or they might have grown up with, you know, just their mother, they didn't have a male input at all. It makes me fearful, because it's like, okay, so do you know, obviously I might not necessarily know because I haven't seen it, but it's like, do you know how to treat a woman? Or do you know how to play the role that I think a man should play? And obviously we're not going to get into, I guess, gender roles and stuff now, because that's a different conversation. But I think with some men, I found that when they don't necessarily have a father figure in their life, it's like they try to be that and more.
They create their own beliefs.
Yeah, because they don't know what, like how it looks.
And where do those beliefs come from? And that's my only issue sometimes with not having both parents, or even a parent and one parent, for example. But where do your beliefs come from? Where are you even getting that information from? That's okay as to how to treat the person you want to be with. And I think it goes back to, again, what you're actually listening, what you're taking in, what you see to take in. Like in this day and age, we see social media. And it's just like, for me, that's not what I govern my relationship on. I govern my relationship as much as possible by the grace of God, on the word of God. Like I see how love is demonstrated in the Bible, and I try my hardest to be
follow that.
Because that's what guides me. That's what should be the guidance. Because if we go based on what's on social media, or what we speak about, or no, not what we speak about good things, but I think we do. Things we speak about in regards to relationships, it has substance. We have different types of experiences, but I think it's what you're governed by and what you take in. And I think we don't have enough of that. And actually, that's wrong. We probably do have enough examples
seeking it in the right place,
and it's hard to know whose truth is the right truth.
This is the thing, because
this is the thing.
No, that's not right truth, but I think everybody has experiences, and there are a lot of influencers, content creators who speak on their relationships, and I think there are young people that absorb those things, that take in those, and I've seen personally the difference in the young people and their expectations in relationships, which have come from this social media, come from influencers, and I think that is super harmful. Do you know what I mean? Really, really harmful. So I think it's about having that maturity to know, wait, hey, I saw this happen, but I need to know, like, this is obviously not right. And I think as much as we see things and might want to copy them, we can see things and dispel them as well. Hey, this is wrong.
And I think that comes down to also not letting that outside noise in. I think 100%. When you are growing in a relationship, you need to be very
tunnel vision.
And like, if you're deciding to be with someone, regardless of the shit that you've been through, or things that might have gone left, or things that you might, not feel comfortable with, okay, you've chosen to be with them, you have to really ignore that outside noise. Otherwise, it can be very easy. And that's like, comes down to your family opinions, the influences of social media, your friends might be like, well, why are you accepting? Like, do you know what I mean? You have to be very sure of what you've got going on. Otherwise, it's very easy to feel like, oh, 100%. Do you know what? Is this right? Like, it's easy to be.
And the thing is as well, there's so many people that you don't even know that are envious, or that have ill intentions. So then letting them get in your head can then almost make you start questioning.
I don't even think sometimes it's ill intention. I think sometimes people are insecure about things. And when someone's insecure about it, they're like, oh, I would never do that.
And then it's just second guess.
But it's because they're insecure about that one thing. And it's like, that's why.
Do you think it's insecurity though? 100%. Or do you think it's just different experiences?
It's definitely insecurity, because if you were secure in what you were doing in your own life, you wouldn't feel the need to project that onto somebody. Like, I don't know, someone made a comment like, I would never have 2 under 2. Why would anybody? And those comments like that, it's like,
but I don't think that's insecurity. I think that's just your personal
I think
preference.
It depends on
how you talk about an experience to somebody that you haven't experienced.
Because if you watch something, okay, I can speak from my perspective. I've seen 2 under 2 played out quite closely to me, quite regular. And obviously every experience will be different. But for me, it's not something that's made me think, oh yeah, I'm going to go and have 2 under 2. That's made me think, I will never have 2 under 2.
But then say we're in a conversation and Lola, for example, says, I want 2 under 2. You're not going to then go, I think you're mad. Like, why would you do that? That's crazy. You would just be like, oh, like, personally, I wouldn't. From what I've seen, and that's the difference. I think if you was projecting it and then getting in Lola's head, and Lola thinking, oh, maybe this is a bad idea, that's where it's different, I think.
True. But I think we have a culture now, I think it's easy for us to say that something is someone is just into. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not always that. Someone might just be sharing their experience, and maybe it's about how it comes across. You have to be a little bit more mindful of how you present things. But it doesn't always mean that person has ill intentions.
I don't think I do you know what I mean? Sometimes it don't need to be ill intentions, but I think
you should know better.
And also I do think, like, as you were saying about like places to go, like in terms of like to kind of like,
what do you mean places to go?
For guidance, and stewardship. Like, obviously, like Christians, I know that in churches there's like marriage or couples counselling, or even like there's groups like when you're transitioning into getting married and like trying to follow. But again, I personally think it is personally something that you should do behind closed doors. Obviously, yes, go to church or whatever.
What
But
do you mean, like just the two of you?
Those kind
this
of
is my
conversations,
personal
them
thing.
taboo
Yeah,
conversations.
like,
to
I
have
think
them.
like with me and my partner, there's a lot that we discussed amongst ourselves. Like I know people that say to me all the time, you never really post your partner on social media, or da-da-da. But certain things I'm very private over, and I like that. I have those clear boundaries of social media that I'm not going to share. And people might think it's strange, but I personally don't think everything needs to be out there. Like there's so much that goes on behind closed doors, and I like to have that essence of privacy in some things. But I also think, like you said, in today's culture, everyone puts everything online and they seek things from social media, and
in the same respect, I feel like those conversations sometimes with your partner, you don't need to tell people you're having them.
What
You both decide for your relationship is private, and sometimes those outside views, what I want for my life, me and my fiance want for our lives, it's not going to be what you. It's not going to be what it's going to be. What, they're all different, and sometimes you could voice something. It's like, hey, like someone could be like, wow, that's wild. Like I would never. Do you know what I mean? And that can sometimes feed into what's going on at home. So it's a dangerous and scary place to be. So not just in a superficial way of like pictures, not that that's superficial, because I agree with you, like I wouldn't post
certain things. I get what you mean.
But I think that there are deeper levels to it, because that is how sometimes social media can worm its way into your life, or like outside opinions can worm their way into your life. But
100%.
it's hard when you are trying to discuss these things and you don't have many influences, or like if you're not, both of you are not in the church, then where do you go? Because
and I think there's also a flip side to that, because you can let somebody, like you might have somebody you feel that you can trust, you know. So if you have an issue in your relationship, or you know you're going through something, you might think, you know what, okay, let me go and reason with blah blah blah, or let's like, sometimes you need a mediator in a relationship also. It's not just good enough you two having a conversation. Sometimes you do need a voice of reason to see where he's coming from and see where you're coming from. But there's a flip side to that, because it's like, okay, how much do you let that person know about our conflict? And is that something that they are then going to use against me or use against the other? Especially if that's somebody that has a close relationship with the two of you. Do you know what I mean? It's hard for, even as friends, even say something happens in your relationship and then you go and tell your friend, oh, you know, like he did this.
You got to stand on that now.
You got to stand on
that. You know what I'm saying?
You got to stand on that.
Things that you might not uphold, because you're like, no, we're good now. But your friends are like, hold on, but
that wasn't my head.
Yeah, like, I'm not good. Like, what do you mean? You told me that, like, and it's like, how do you navigate that? And how do you pick and choose? Because for me personally, I try and be as open as possible with the people that are close to me, innit? Because I think if you're in my inner circle, then I trust you. And you're there for a reason. So I'm probably gonna like open up and say, you know, we're going through this, we're going through that. But I know not everyone shares that same view. And I've had the experience of knowing something or feeling something, and then it's like, okay, how do I flip that switch now? How do I flip the switch and be like, okay, cool, we're all good now, everything's nice.
You have to just be secure, because there's even been times when I've been going through things in my relationship, and people will be saying to me, "Raw, I could never do that. I would never be." And it's like, okay,
but I'm doing it. And you're gonna,
do you get it?
Yeah, but it's easy for you to do that with your own relationship. But I mean,
just joking.
If I tell you, if I tell you, look, you know what? He done the mad thing. He did this, and then the next week it's like, okay, well, we're all good. You know, we're getting married next week. Blah blah blah. Okay,
but I think you have to own it in terms of like, because then your friends will think like,
you can't be doing the secret
but that's the growth thing. But that comes down to the growth aspect as well, because I think it will be very telling to see that, okay, you know what, they've actually overcome that, and you can see that
absolutely.
You know what I mean, they've managed it between themselves, and
in the vein of maturity, as you grow, you realize it's not everything you need to come and tell your friends.
No, you have to.
It's okay.
You have to know
to the degree of sometimes.
Kind of differentiate between.
It's fine.
I'm going to share this.
But it's not everything you must know. Like,
but then it's so hard sometimes, because sometimes you just want to be vulnerable, and I feel like there's not enough spaces to be
vulnerable. You just want to share.
If your spirit is calling you to share that, then I would always say, if my spirit feels like, you know what, okay, I'm on FaceTime today, or you know, cool. But I'm not necessarily every single time, he didn't put his, and he didn't put the pants. So like, I don't know why.
And I think it's also being selective as to who you share with. Because you have some friends, I think as you grow, you
know
realize different people's characters, and you have some friends where it's like, raw, you know, they are gonna hold that feeling.
Remember last week when you were saying you never put a plate in a water?
But remember when he did this? Like, you're remembering shit I didn't even remember.
And then you got the other ones where it's like, oh, how is he doing? Oh, you know, it's so good, you know, it's just so good. Nah, we just even gone to dinner today, you know, just tonight. Yeah,
and that's not. I don't think that's a good way to be.
It's not.
You're not being real.
Yeah, but then sometimes, like you said, you know your pots of people. Sometimes it's just like, oh, you know what? He's actually at work now. He's just looking so hard.
Some people, until it is really in the pits of the pits, don't say that word.
I do also think as well, though, that sometimes, depending on the like your actual relationship, some things you don't like, obviously some things you will speak to your friends about, but a lot of things you, depending on like the maturity or the level of your relationship, you can discuss amongst each other, and it's not nice, it's not comfortable, but you lay it out, you air it out, you discuss, and you don't actually have to.
That's true. Do you get what I mean? Sometimes you need
an outlet.
There's a danger in that, because I think you need an outside opinion, or you just want sometimes you just need to
just someone to listen. Don't even open your mouth. Just listen.
Literally.
That's all. And just
get with it. Unbiased. Like,
that's a really good point, because I feel like that's something that over the past like 4 or 5 years, I would definitely say I've come to a place like with my friends. Sometimes you might vent and say something to me, but I don't necessarily need to say,
respond.
Hey, do this or hey, do that. It's like, you know, I feel you. No, like, you know, something like that's crazy. Like, but that's it. And I won't mention it again. You might not mention it again.
How are you feeling about that? Or do you know what I mean? Like, just to check in with them.
You don't need an opinion. You don't need direction. You just want to get it out. So sometimes learning that difference between when somebody is asking for an opinion or when they just want to share. They just want to share. It's really important. I think it's
sometimes
healthy.
You just want to vent.
Yeah. I think that's key. And I think,
you know what? It's really true.
I don't know what else I think.
I think there's a lot more to say on this.
I know. I want to keep going, but we have to kind of wrap it up.
And maybe we can bring in a guest for our next one as well, actually.
I would love to hear a male perspective on it, because I think as women, we are very versatile and like we grow and adapt, and we are very like nurturing in that we want to nurture relationships.
Women are
definitely a lot more agile, especially in relationships, and women are givers.
Whereas men are
save.
It's not
well, you know what they say, before a woman leaves a relationship, she's mentally checked out, like maybe like 2 years
she's
before.
done her graft.
She knew it was coming. She knew it was coming.
Whereas men, when they're done, they're done. Like if a man wants to be with you, he
but then I also think men feel it later on down the line, because they're quite impulsive compared to women. I feel like women, I think so. Like, I feel like, say for example, you're in a long-term relationship, you break up, like the woman, most likely it will, I don't know, not every woman, but just like down to like your typical woman, maybe. I don't know if you can say that, but like I do think women tend to feel emotions there and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I think with men, it's kind of like, oh, whatever. But you know then later on, it will catch up.
But do you know why that is, guys? Because guys get to enjoy the fruits of still being in the relationship, whilst a woman is still going through that touching out. Because we will still serve. Well, I can't talk for all women, but you will still serve.
I get what you mean.
Cook, clean.
What's me clock? Don't come over here looking for that, because you ain't gonna
there ain't no dinner. Your washing's in the laundry basket.
I've changed the locks on the door, all right? So you need to get the fuck out.
You see, ladies, not everyone has to be a saverhood. Don't always say this.
Oh gosh, no, but this is definitely a really good topic. And I
we'll be revisiting it.
I would love to hear from people like their experiences, like and their opinions.
And we need to get some advice as well. Like, we need to get maybe a couple on here, and maybe we can or questions. No, maybe.
I'm not qualified to give advice. Don't take my advice.
Another perspective I do think will be interesting, because obviously we're all very different, but I feel like a male perspective would be like very interesting. And
I think also we need to explore it more from because obviously we're audience, but also we are now in our like, you know, we're grown adults, you know, we're seasoned, a little bit more seasoned.
I'm 21. I'm a young spring chicken.
But I think we would have had a lot of different experiences, like in our late teens, early 20s. The relationships change, and I think that's an angle that will be interesting to explore, you know?
I think before we wrap up, do you all have maybe like a word of advice you would give to a young girl? Good. Like
I was thinking
early 20s.
We'll start with you.
Okay.
I want to say
And this relates back to what I said about being in a relationship from young. Obviously, it works for some, but I do think enjoy your life. Find out who you are before you try and navigate a relationship, because I think that's key, and that will kind of help you guide your way through a relationship if you know what you want, what you like, what you're willing to stand for. Like, put yourself first. That's
Absolutely.
good.
I think mine would be like, away from emotions in a relationship, I would say like build, like focus on your craft, like focus on your education. Like as a young woman, something I wish someone had said to me way back when, even regardless of like having a child at like 20 or whatever, focus on yourself, save your money, you know, like work, like do your education. And luckily, like that is all stuff I've done, but I would definitely advise, and what I tell like my little cousins or whatever is, girl, get your money, like, get your good, show that no one have that over you.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
I think I would say ensure that if you are choosing to enter in a relationship or stay in a relationship, make sure that the relationship really serves you and serves you well. I think don't be afraid to step away from something that isn't bringing you happiness, or it might not necessarily bringing you unhappiness, but it just might not be what you want anymore, and that's okay. Like, nobody's holding a gun to your head. Please be okay to. Don't be scared to start again, or don't be scared of, you know, am I going to find love again? Am I going to find this again? Like, whatever you're meant to have, you will have in this lifetime.
It won't pass you.
Yeah, it won't. I'm a strong believer of that.
Yeah. I would just say be true to yourself. I think really, really, like everyone said, like take your time to enjoy your youth. Like learn, grow, travel, stack the butter, stack the cheddar. Just... No, literally, just develop yourself. And I think, again, don't rob people of their own experiences of missing your presence. I think, and I can only talk for myself, when you're trying to save people sometimes it's not always the best answer. Like you can...
Don't sacrifice yourself.
Don't sacrifice yourself and don't rob people from their own experience where they have to have that reality check that, damn, she was a good woman, he was a good brother.
Let them take that L,
when your time is done, pack up your load and be going still, but just be true to yourself and just make money, because when you have money, they'll come. No, seriously, develop yourself. No, seriously, whatever that means to you.
Whether it's this life, have money, or
have money, and just be true to yourself. Like whatever that means, get to know Christ. Just be the best version of you, because no one can ever tell you that was otherwise. You was always the best version of you, and that's what you put forward. Let people just go along.
That's true.
100%. That's
true.
Well, let us know what you think, guys. Any comments, let us know down below. We'd like to hear your opinions.
Share your stories as well. We want to be a lot more interactive in this new era, so we want to hear what you guys have got to say. We want to hear your thoughts. We want you to talk to us, you know, we will talk back.
Are your words of advice, like, what would your words of advice be to young people entering relationships, like women and men?
100%. And if there's any topics you'd want us to cover, just leave them in the comments below as well.
Let us know. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family. And all of that good stuff.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.